Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the next episode of the Seth-Talk-Show, where in today's episode we are going to be discussing more about Japan and their attempts at colonization and how we should be addressing it in modern day and age. Little side note, I am sick, so yeah, my voice isn't gonna be completely 100%, but that's okay because we're still gonna do this and it's gonna be great. Anyway, you know what time it is? It's time to cue the intro. Now, cue it. Go. To really understand Japan's history in colonization, we are going to have to take a giant step back to around the 5th century in Hokkaido, where the Epi-Jomon, a native group to Japan, mixed with the Uktusk to form the Ainu. The Ainu were people that were known for having a hunter-gatherer lifestyle, and they would hunt and scavenge for almost anything that they needed to survive. They also made cool inventions that would help them become great hunters and succeed in everything. Body modifications like the ones I'm going to show on screen right here played a huge part in the Ainu culture. Women would get mouth tattoos and men would not cut their beards for very long periods of time. Bears also played a huge part in their culture. The Ainu thought of the bear to be like the spirit animal, and they would heavily worship them. Now that we have learned a little bit about the Ainu, let's learn what happened to them. And to do that, we need to first look at the Emishi clan. Now, this was a clan that was located just south of Hokkaido. The Emishi clan was full of highly trained bowmen, and the Yamato clan, which was the most powerful in Japan at the time, did not like this. So they decided it would be a good idea to get rid of them. So in 811, the Emishi clan was defeated and assimilated by the Japanese Yamato clan. Many people from the Emishi clan joined the Ainu, and the rest just went with the Yamato and succumbed to the assimilation. After the defeat of the Emishi clan, the Japanese left all of Hokkaido alone. They would occasionally send prisoners there for exile, but other than that, nothing much happened. So the Ainu decided it would be a good idea to try and expand north through the Isle of Sakhalin. They had already owned little less than half of it, but they wanted to keep going. So in the early 1200s, they started to push their way into the northern half, which was the territory of the Nivk people. The Ainu put up a very good fight, but eventually they realized that they were highly outnumbered and they decided to surrender and retreat, losing their half of the territory in the process. After losing half of their territory, the Ainu were forced into looking southern at the Yamato clan rather than the north. This resulted in the Ainu becoming very dependent on the metals and things that they got from the south, while in return the southern clans were becoming very rich from the natural resources that the Ainu had traded with them for. Slowly but surely, the Yamato clan began to get greedy and started moving in on Hokkaido. They parked themselves right at the tip of southern Hokkaido in an attempt to eventually move inward. This would start the first real conflict between the Ainu and the Japanese. Between 1456 and 1536, the Ainu army would battle against the Yamato samurais. The Ainu resistance in this time is what let them continue to have equal trading. But all good things do come to an end, and at the start of the 16th century, Japan would emerge from around 150 years of civil war, where the daimyo and emperor had taken over and created the shogun that would rule over Japan for a while to come. The Ainu would begin to lose their trading rights, and this is where everything started. When gold was eventually discovered, the Japanese decided to fully move into Hokkaido and set up gold mines everywhere to gather all the gold they possibly could. And in 1660, two Ainu leaders would get into an argument that would lead one leader to blow up one of these gold mines, killing the other in the process. This would turn out into a full-out war where the chief gathered 19 Ainu tribes and around 3,000 people to go on a rampage, destroying Japanese camps left, right, and center. Eventually, the chief and his troops reached the Japanese castle and were stopped by a small Japanese clan. The small clan was able to take advantage of their armor and muskets, and despite having much less people, forced the Ainu to surrender. After the surrender of the Ainu, Japan would push into Hokkaido harder than ever, rebuilding all of their trading forts and mines with over 60 new ones. After a while of once again living peacefully, the Japanese started to fear that Russia would expand into Hokkaido, leaving them powerless. So they decided to take full control over Hokkaido in 1806, and they created a policy of very intense assimilation on the Ainu, so that anyone living in Hokkaido was now Japanese. The Ainu men were forced into becoming slaves for the Japanese and would be forced to give up their languages, clothes, and customs. And women were forced into marrying Japanese men. As a result of this, the Ainu population plummeted from around 80,000 to just 15,000 in around 60 years. With the introduction of a new Meiji government in 1868, things could only get worse. The government encouraged mass migration to Hokkaido, which made the Ainu a minority in their own home. The Ainu were forced to learn Japanese, and all of their previous culture and customs were banned. Coming into the 20th century, the Ainu are almost completely extinct, except for a small island of less than only 1,000 people on some of the western islands. Only 15,000 Ainu are left in Japan. To this day, there has only been a few plans to address what happened. Up until 2008, Japan's plan was just to ignore everything and forget that the Ainu even existed. But in 2008, the Japanese government officially recognized the Ainu as a distinct indigenous people of Hokkaido and allowed them to have the rights to all of their culture and customs to be recognized. Now, for my opinion, I would say that what happened in 2008 was good, and it, for the most part, it worked. People recognized the Ainu as a indigenous people in Japan, and they're striving to bring back Ainu culture. So I think that worked. I think that worked what they did. But I think that we could bring it a step further up. I don't know. I think Japan could be doing more to recognize them instead of just passing one law that says, okay, yeah, they're distinct indigenous people. They could actually be actively teaching people about them, teaching people what happened, So I think that would be the next direction that if it was me who was running Japan, that would be where I would take it. But yeah, I think what they're doing right now is a good first step. As for specific policies that I would implement, I would make sure that in Japanese schools they have to be taught about the Ainu. Similarly to how we in Canada, the curriculum is that we have to be taught about what happened in residential schools and how terrible those things were and how we need to recognize what happened. I think that should be kind of the same thing in Japan, so that when students of a young age are taught about what happened with the Ainu and that they should be recognized as a distinct indigenous people of Japan, I think that kids should be taught about that from all the way through school. And I think that if Japan had something like that, then it would definitely improve the recognition of those people. And I think that's what I would do. All right, everyone. I think that is going to be it for today's video. I hope you all enjoyed. It was fun to make. I'm sick, so I'm sorry if it was a little bit more low energy than usual. I'm not feeling super well. But yeah. If you want to check out more information on all of this, then I recommend clicking the video that's going to be here. I think it's going to be here. If it's not, then here. Either one. It's going to be one of them. So just click on that if you want to see more about this topic, because I didn't really explain it super well, and that video is where I learned most of my information. So yeah, I recommend it. It's a good video. And I think that's it. Yeah. So I hope you all have a great rest of your day. And thanks for watching the video. I will see you all next time. So yeah, goodbye.